Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Thursday, August the 1st. Now, for today, I'm just going to cover the main slate. There is a 4-game early slate for today, but I won't have a video on that. We're just going to look at the 6-game night slate. Start off with pitching. We'll work our way through the pitcher-player pool. I'll be sure to hit on all the pitchers that I like for today. Then we'll talk about 3 batters that I really like. We'll talk about some stacks that I'll be going to, and then towards the end of the video, for those of you that are interested in some BVP plays, we'll cover BVP towards the end of the video. But before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. You're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed so that way you don't miss out on any of my new uploads. But we're starting off at the top of the pitcher-player pool. Garrett Cole, our most expensive option today on both sites. On DraftKings, Garrett Cole is $11,300. And on Yahoo, he is $60. I think Cole is the clear standout number 1 pitcher today. He just has so much more upside than the next most expensive guy, Clayton Kershaw. And the pricing, at least on DraftKings, is not really that distant, only a $600 difference. I could see going to Kershaw on Yahoo because Cole's $9 more, and that's a pretty big discount you get going from Cole to Kershaw. But I still think Cole's going to be my number 1 option here. Just really like him in this spot against Cleveland. It's not the easiest matchup. Cleveland has a pretty good lineup. They traded for Yasiel Puig. They got Franmil Reyes as well. But Franmil Reyes, although he has a lot of power, he will strike out a lot versus right-handed pitching. The top of the lineup is scary with Lindor, who doesn't strike out much. Carlos Santana doesn't really K much. But you can definitely get some Ks from the bottom of the lineup. And Garrett Cole is just such a good strikeout pitcher. One of the highest K rates in the league. I really don't care who the matchup is, especially if Cole's not insanely expensive, which today at 11.3, he's really not that expensive. He can go out there and get 8, 9, 10 strikeouts pretty much in any matchup. We saw earlier this year against Cleveland, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, got 10 strikeouts, had 28 DraftKings points. We could easily see Cole have a performance like that or even a better performance. Just been one of the best pitchers in the league this year. You look at his last 10 games on DraftKings, only 1 game under 20 DraftKings points. You can pretty much pencil him in for 20 DK points almost every start. So I like going to him at the top. Clayton Kershaw definitely in a good spot against the Padres. Padres did trade away Franmil Reyes, who was one of their good power hitters versus lefties. Now they're going to most likely have Margot in there, who's a decent hitter but will definitely strike out. So it's a pretty easy matchup for Kershaw. Right now the Padres have the lowest implied run total on the slate. But I just don't know if Kershaw has the strikeout upside that you get from a guy like Garrett Cole. Kershaw's been much better lately in the strikeout department, getting at least 9 Ks or more in 3 of his last 4 starts. He did have 27 DK points earlier this year when he faced the Padres. So you could definitely go to Kershaw, but I prefer Garrett Cole in a nutshell. On Yahoo, it's pretty tough to play them 2 together, because if you were to do that, that only leaves you 11 remaining per player. But if I can find some cheap bats I like, I'll be trying my best to play Cole and Kershaw together because obviously you do get a lot of upside from both of those pitchers. But Garrett Cole's going to be my number 1 guy for today. And then once you get past the top 2 options, it's definitely a big drop down. Jack Flaherty on DraftKings is your next most expensive pitcher at $8,600. I do think this is a decent spot for Flaherty. He's a really good pitcher. He pitches really well at home. I wouldn't say it's the best spot against the Cubs, but at $8,600, you could definitely look to Flaherty as an SP2 here. He hasn't been that great against the Cubs this year. Through 3 games against them, he's averaged 12 DraftKings points. So I would say he's definitely struggled against the Cubs. But we saw in his last start against the Astros, a very tough matchup. He still went out there and managed to have some success with 25 DraftKings points, 6 innings, 3 hits allowed, 2 runs allowed, 9 Ks. I could definitely see going to Flaherty as an SP2 today. But there are some bats I want to pay up for, and it's going to be pretty tough to get those bats in if you play Cole and Flaherty together. So I'm definitely going to be looking for a cheaper guy. There's a couple cheap guys that really stand out to me on both sides. Trent Thornton at $6,800 on DraftKings, I like a lot. On Yahoo, Trent Thornton feels like the easiest plug-and-play for value. If you need a value SP2, he's only $26 on Yahoo, just $1 off the minimum. He feels like the go-to cheap pitcher that you can use on Yahoo at $26. Very favorable matchup here against the Orioles. We know how bad this Orioles lineup is, how much they strike out versus right-handed pitching. I know Thornton pitched against the Orioles recently on July 7th and had a really good start. 6 innings, only 3 hits allowed, 5 Ks, which was just a decent start for him. 29 fantasy points. Could easily see him put up a performance similar to that. He is returning from the IL, but he wasn't on the IL for much time. I think he was only on the injured list for like a week or so. He was on there for like the minimum amount of time that you can be on the IL. So I don't expect him to be restricted by any means. And where he's only $26 on Yahoo, he feels like the go-to SP2 for me if I can't find a way to get Cole and Kershaw together. But on DraftKings, I think going to a guy like Max Fried for $1,000 less makes a lot of sense. I really like Max Fried as a cheap SP2 that you can target on DK. You can definitely go to him on Yahoo as well. He's at $36, but again, you can get Thornton for $10 less, which is a really big discount, a really big amount of savings. Or you can just find like a couple dollars more and get up to Jack Flaherty, who I would say is overall a much more talented pitcher. But Fried's still going to be in my player pool for Yahoo. I'll probably still have him in at least one or two lineups. But on DraftKings, that's where I really like him at 5,800. Much more easier matchup for him now that Yasiel Puig has been traded away from the Reds. This lineup is not that imposing versus left-handed pitching. You do have Eugenio Suarez and Nick Senzel, who are pretty good versus lefties. Phillip Ervin's a decent hitter, but Jose Iglesias I'm not really worried about. Jose Peraza I'm not worried about. Kyle Farmer is not that good of a hitter. You got the pitcher in there. Then you have Jesse Winker, who's not good versus left-handed pitching. Joey Votto's much worse versus lefties than righties. So I would say it's a pretty easy matchup for Fried. He's dirt cheap, low implied run total for the Reds. Just looking for a cheap SP2 on DraftKings, he definitely stands out as a guy that can get you 20-plus DraftKings points. And like I said, there are some bats I want to pay up for today, so going to Fried on DraftKings is going to be kind of the way that I get to those bats. You play Cole and Fried together, and you're still left with over 4,100 remaining per player, which you should definitely be able to work around. So I think that's it for pitching for me today. I feel like I'm really going to be keying on about 5 pitchers: Cole, Kershaw, Flaherty, Fried, and Trent Thornton. Those are going to be the guys that I have in my player pool today. Don't see myself getting exposure to any other guy. Lester, I don't really want to play. Salazar is not expected to pitch too deep. He's only going to go a couple innings. Lucchese's in a tough spot against the Dodgers. Desclafani's in a tough spot against the Braves. Ashworth-Jahowski has been better lately, but still don't want to really target him. Then McKay's in a tough spot. Castor's in a tough spot, and is not that good of a pitcher. So just 4 or 5 guys I'm really going to have in my player pool for the 6-game slate. But now let's go ahead and talk about some bats. We're going to start off at first base. Really like Ji-Man Choi here as a value option. On DraftKings, he's pretty cheap at only $4K. And on Yahoo, he's also very cheap at only $11. So he is projected to lead off for the Rays here, who right now have a 5 implied run total, which is towards the top of the slate, facing Andrew Cashner in Fenway Park. Cashner's not a pitcher that I think is very good, always a pitcher I look to stack against. And the Rays do have some upside here versus Cashner, and you do have some value in this lineup as well. Not as much towards the top, but when you get to the bottom, you got a lot of cheap guys with Duffy at 37, Adames at 36, even Nate Lowe is only 4,300. If Kevin Kiermaier's in the lineup, I'm not sure what his price is, but he could be a guy you look to for value. And obviously Ji-Man Choi projected lead off for only $4K. I really like as a value play. Does have some power versus righties. Cashner actually struggles more to righties than to lefties. He's been really struggling to righties this year, so Tommy Pham and Travis d'Arnaud are definitely some interesting plays. Avisel Garcia as well. But pretty much this whole lineup I like, especially the 1 through 6. That's where I'm really going to be targeting from the Rays. Rays are definitely going to be one of my top stacks today. Another team, though, that I really like is the Braves here versus Anthony Desclafani in SunTrust Park. Not expected to be that hot, only 77 degrees. But still, even though it's not going to be that hot, I think this is a great spot for the Braves versus Desclafani. Desclafani really struggles with lefties, and the Braves obviously have a lot of lefties that can hit right-handed pitching well. Ozzie Albies and Freddie Freeman are obviously the two that come to mind. But Brian McCann, he's not that great of a hitter, but he really doesn't strike out much. He's going to put the ball in play. Same can be said for Ender Inciarte. Not a great hitter, but he'll still put the ball in play. Doesn't really strike out. Camargo will strike out a bit, but he does have a little bit of power from the left side. So I just really like this Braves lineup in general. And then the righties aren't easy outs. Acuna's a great hitter. Donaldson's been really good this year. Adam Duvall's been heating up lately. So I think the Braves are going to be a team I look to target. I like Ozzie Albies a lot on both sides. At second base on DraftKings, he's only $4,200, and on Yahoo, he's at $17. Projected at second, I expect Ozzie Albies to be one of my higher-owned second basemen today. And if I'm stacking the Braves, he's going to be one of my top priorities. Love like the 1 through 6, but don't forget the bottom of the lineup guys, especially if you're looking for value. If the Braves go out and score 10 runs, which is totally possible today, it's unlikely that guys like Inciarte and Camargo just give you a 0. So even though they're batting towards the bottom of the order, don't forget about those guys at the bottom. They still provide a lot of value, and they do make some sense if you're full stacking the Braves, which I for sure am going to be doing today. And then going back over to DraftKings, I do like some Blue Jays bats versus Wojciechowski. I know he's been better lately, but still I think some of these Blue Jays bats give you some value. Kevon Biggio, if you're not playing Albies at 4,200, I do like him at second baseman. Bo Bichette projected leadoff is only 3,900 on DraftKings. I really like him as a value play here. Dirt cheap, batting towards the top of the order. Don't know what the Blue Jays run total is right now. We don't have a line on this game, but I imagine it's going to be relatively high, probably 5 runs or more. So I like Bichette a lot. He's a pretty talented hitter, young prospect for the Blue Jays. They project him to do very well. He does have some power. Already has a home run on the year through 3 games. I believe he has some speed as well, even though he hasn't stolen any bases yet through 3 games. He is a guy that has a little bit of speed in the minors, and he's only 3,900 on DraftKings, which just really stands out. Over on Yahoo, he's not as interesting because if you look over here, he's at $22, which is incredibly expensive for him. So I'm more inclined to target him on DraftKings, where he's only 3,900. But to fill out my 5 for Yahoo, going back to the Rays, I really like Austin Meadows. He's only $17 on Yahoo, which does stand out quite a bit, especially if you're looking to stack the Rays, which I will definitely be doing. Rays, Braves, and some Blue Jays bats. Those are definitely going to be 3 teams I'll look to stack today. But I like Meadows a lot. Probably going to be batting second or third. Just makes a lot of sense if you're stacking the Rays. Just a really good spot in general for the Rays bats, in my opinion. So, love Meadows, love Choi. I like Pham a lot if he's in the lineup. Darno's one of the top catcher plays. Nate Lowe at first base, you could also target. Garcia, I like as a value play in the outfield. But anyways, these are my 5 plays for DraftKings and for Yahoo today, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about some stacks real quick. Then we'll look at BVP before we end the video. So definitely my 3 favorite stacks. Number 1 going to be the Rays versus Andrew Cashner. Number 2 is going to be the Braves versus DeSclafani. And then I will be mixing in some Blue Jays bats versus Wojciechowski. I'll be mixing in some Red Sox bats versus McKay. But the Rays and the Braves are the 2 teams I'm really going to be focused on the most. Don't see myself going really anywhere else. Maybe some Dodger bats, but don't think I need to go there on this slate. There's just better spots in my opinion. Lucchese's not really a pitcher I target against often unless he's like in cores or something. So I think that's it for stacks. Let's go ahead and look at BVP real quick before we end the video. So Yasiel Puig's gone 6 for 14 with a home run off of Garrett Cole. Anthony Rizzo 8 for 12 with 2 home runs off of Jack Flaherty. Paul Goldschmidt 7 for 14 with a home run off of John Lester. Inciarte's gone 4 for 10 with a home run off DeSclafani, and Freddie Freeman also gone 3 for 10 with a home run off DeSclafani. And lastly, Eric Hosmer's gone 9 for 24 with a home run off of Clayton Kershaw. So those are all the BVP plays for today, guys. I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like down below before you get out of here. I would really appreciate it. And make sure you click that subscribe button as well. If you do have any questions, if you want to hit me up, feel free to do so down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. Feel free to message me on Twitter if you do have any questions. But good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.